Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of PAOK Talk. We are your hosts, Angelo and Jono. Jono, how are you tonight?
Angelo, nice to have you back, my friend, and
Yeah,
back in that host seat where you belong. We had a good time without you, but yeah, it's good to have you back. I'm doing well tonight, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about the PSV game and all the other stuff we got coming up.
yeah. I mean, you might take my hosting job pretty soon. I don't know. It sounded much better when you were the main person. So, and I got a couple other people saying that they liked it better when you were on. So maybe you're gonna have to start hosting full time without me.
Hey man, that's what happens. The captain goes away on international duty, and I get into the ears of the other players in the locker room. This is what can happen, man.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So you touched on it at the start. The PSV game. What a game! I mean, that was just. I mean, it started off really upsetting. I guess you can say nerve wracking with giving up the penalty, but it definitely didn't end that way. We ended off strong, 4-1, 4 goals against a Dutch team, and it's definitely eye opening. The result. So why don't you touch on that game first, and then we could pick it apart more in detail.
Yeah, so it was definitely a game that started, I guess you would say, poorly. It just defensively again we were pretty solid. We gave away the stupid penalties. Fab made the mistake, and it's really a poor error. Give up the goal. They didn't really create too much other than that. They did have the one chance where they kind of broke through one on one, and Zivkovic made the save that slowed down the ball. The ball was still going in, but Varela was able to get there. I'm pretty sure that was in the first half. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
remember that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, apart from the penalty and that, they didn't create much. The issue more was us going forward, and we were getting, I mean, as expected, PSV had the ball, dominated the ball, and we were getting good chances, good looks on the counter, but we were just a little bit slow, a little bit heavy. Bisesvard, unfortunately his run out of form continues. It was a little bit surprising to see him get the start. I don't know what you thought of that, but yeah, and him and Cholak, we've kind of seen him now. He's probably not a striker you'd want playing on the counter attack. He's more, you have possession, load him up into the box and put some balls into the area.
Right.
So I mean, I guess those two starting kind of killed us on the counter a little bit. So we just looked poor. We didn't look likely to create anything going forward. Um, but again, I mean, I guess if there was a positive, it was that we were good defensively, but unfortunately we were a goal down, and you thought kind of going into half time, like, it's going to be tough to turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, is that how you read the first half too?
Yeah, for sure. When we went to the goal down, I mean, it was upsetting. I was like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again, another home game. You know, expectations are high. We have Garcia, not high, but everyone's anxious for the game. What can Garcia do? His first European game in charge. Then we give up that penalty, and we just didn't offer much going forward. At least to start, and you touched on it with Biseswar and Cholak, and I was surprised Cholak got the start over Swiderski. Biseswar I could kind of understand, him playing well against Dutch teams, and obviously his background. So I mean, it's not. I think the Cholak. I mean, it's funny that I'm saying Cholak is more surprising me that he started when he was our big signing, right? But Biseswar usually plays better in those kinds of games, right? He gets foul calls. He's very very smart on the ball. His soccer IQ is very high, so he does well in the European big games. Maybe more so when you're away and you're definitely playing on the counter and looking to draw fouls more. But PSV didn't look like the PSV of old for sure. They looked a little out of it. Obviously, I know that I think they were struggling coming into that game. I'm not sure. Does that make sense? Or am I thinking of another team?
I think they had won their previous game. I mean, they did have the couple of outs, but as Nico told us in the previous episode, I think they only had 2 or 3 starters out,
Okay.
and I think they were mainly defenders. But yeah, no, I think they had won their previous game. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Okay, I'm trying to think which team I'm thinking of is the one that. Anyways, yeah, but once we made those subs, once Solis came in, Swiderski came in, it definitely changed the outlook of the game and the future of the game, and the fact that we scored 4 goals in 19 minutes to start the second half, that was, or in the middle of the second half, that was just awesome. I saw 3 of the 4 goals, and then I turned off. I was watching on my phone while I was in class, and I turned off my. I got out of the app and I turned back on the app, and all of a sudden it was another goal. I was like, what the hell just happened? Um, but yeah, what do you think about the second half? I mean, it obviously it was a great relief, and it's something where usually in Europe, I don't know what our largest margin of victory was in a European game and in like a group stage game. I don't know if we could find that out real quickly, but I think we had a couple matches in qualifying against some Danish team or a Brøndby, right? And then we beat I think 5-0, right? But that was the qualifier round. I'm not sure if we could find out real quickly our largest margin of victory in.
I know off the top of my head the biggest victory was a 7-1 game, but I don't think that was a group game. I think it was against Dinamo Tbilisi actually, where
Right.
Noah came
Yes.
from Georgia. So I mean, I know what you're saying in terms of the group stage. It's probably up there. I can't remember. We beat Bate Borisov 4-1 away, didn't we? A couple years ago with Lucescu.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Um,
We'll find it real quick. But yeah, I mean, and what I was getting at is it was one of those games where you watch the highlights as a neutral fan. You're like, wow, like that team is good. Usually, sometimes usually when we win against a bigger ranked team or a higher ranked team, I guess you can say, it's 1-0, it's 1-1, a tie, or 2-1 victory. But just it was a thrashing 4-1. It's gonna be. We're gonna see what happens in the next game. Are they gonna come out fired up, PSV, or are they gonna kind of think that we have their number? I mean, I'm not sure. What say you?
Um, yeah, before I get to that, I'm just looking it up. So it was actually Lokomotiv Tbilisi who we beat 7-0 in the 99-2000 UEFA Cup first round. So just that looks to be our biggest. We also had a 6-1 win against the Czech team, who I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce their name. So we've had bigger scoreline victories, but I guess in terms of the name of the opponent, this game is probably going to be
Okay,
is up there.
so I just found one from the 2014-2015 group stages. We beat Dynamo Minsk 6-1.
Yes, that's right. I think Athanasiadis scored a hat trick that game.
But that's not PSV level.
Yeah. So what we're saying, yeah, we've had bigger
Right.
victories in Europe, but yeah, in terms of the name, it's probably our biggest win over a team with such a well-respected name in European football.
Oh, here's one too. I'm going way back. 2005, 2006. We beat Rennes, the French team, 5-1 at home.
5-1. There you go.
So I would say
Round
that's
number.
that's roughly on the right, on the not the same scale, but that's a pretty. I'm not sure back in 2005 what they are, but I mean I think they're in it again this year, right?
They're in the Champions League this year.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, I knew they were in some Europe. So yeah. All right, I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, all good. Yeah, I agree with what you said. So it was the second half. I mean, coming off that, just frustrating first half, I think is the best way to describe it. Like, we didn't do much, and we were 1 goal down. So it was very frustrating. But yeah, those changes changed the game. I mean, I think immediately we saw the impact of Solis. He was superb. His pace really troubled them, and there was space, obviously, because PSV were pushed so high up the pitch, and we just ran riot. Like, that first goal really opened up the floodgates from Svab.
Right.
Zivkov, all three, right? Solis takes the free kick. It kind of gets cleared to the edge of the box. Zivkovic has the shot, and then Svab gets a toe on it. So all three of the better players in the second half had a hand in that goal. And yeah, the floodgates then just opened. I mean, it felt like for that 19-minute period, we could do no wrong. Like, just every time we went forward, we were dangerous. We were scoring basically on almost every attempt.
Right.
Yeah, we just looked dangerous. And it's a credit to Garcia to like make those changes. I think I heard a little bit of criticism saying, you don't need to waste the first half on Bisesvart, like what he's been for over a year.
Right.
But like that might be a fair point. But I guess he's taken over. He wants to see players, like he wants to give them an opportunity.
Right.
So I'm not. But yeah, no. So it was great to see. I mean, Sorli superb, Zivkovic superb. The thing with Zivkovic, I'm seeing. I mean, so he scored like 3 identical goals in Europe, right? Even the Benfica goal. It's the cutting from the right and then shooting near post. So, I mean, I'm a little bit worried he doesn't, I think that teams are going to be onto him and he's going to have to start shooting far post. And yeah, because that seems to be his trump card. But yeah, no, he was great. And yeah, it was just a huge result. And in terms of where it leaves us for the group, so we're now a clear second, so we have Granada on top with 7 points. We have us with 5, PSV with 3, and Omonia with 1. So, in terms of where it leaves us, we're in a really good spot, and we're really in the mix to potentially qualify. So I mean, obviously the PSV game coming up is big. If you manage to win that, you're 5 points clear with 2 games left.
Yeah, I'll be willing to say if we beat PSV a day before my birthday, actually, so hopefully I get a good birthday gift. If we happen to beat PSV on the 26th, I think we could clinch our tickets to the round of 32. I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that we'd be able we'd be clinching our ticket, because then you look at who they have. They have to go to Spain, and then they'll beat Omonia at home. So I mean, if they go to Spain and beat Spain, then there's 3 teams going into that last game with a chance. So I think if we beat PSV, right? So we'll be at, let's do the math. If we beat PSV and Granada beats Omonia, it would be 10-8-3-1. Right.
We would just need a draw against Omonia because they won't be able to catch us on head-to-head.
Right, and even if not, then I think all we'd need is a draw again or a victory at home against Granada.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not 100% obviously, but I'd be feeling really good. I don't think in that scenario we go to Cyprus and lose.
Nah. Yeah, I agree. And like this is obviously we're talking if we beat PSV. I mean and I don't see, like we'll have a good chance. I mean the game will play out similarly, where they'll have possession, we'll have chances to counter. But yeah, even a draw leaves us in a good spot. We'll still be 2 points clear. They'll have to go to Spain, like you said. We'll have Omonia in Cyprus, which we'll discuss that when that game gets closer. But that's probably a game that we will struggle more with, given the type of game that Omonia play. But yeah, no, we'll see. It definitely puts us like right in. It probably makes us second favourite along with Granada. I mean, just regurgitating the table here. But yeah, we're definitely right in the mix now, which is good given we had that slow start against Omonia and we're all a little bit flat after that result.
So if you ask me on October 21st, the day before the first game, after the first round of matches, we'd have 5 points. I probably would have taken that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%. I would have said 4. I'd be happy with 4.
4, yeah, that's fair too, right.
Accounting for a loss against either Granada or PSV.
Yep.
But yeah, 5 is a fantastic result after 3 games.
Now I have a question for you. Would you rather have the 3 teams in contention going into like that last week, but us still have a chance at number 1? Or would you rather have us and Granada automatically in, but we have no shot at number 1?
You'd probably play it safe and go you'd want to qualify.
Right.
A whole seeding thing, 1 and 2, it kind of gets complicated by teams dropping down from the Champions League.
Right.
So you can get teams that are, in the bottom 4 teams of the ones dropping down from the Champions League because they've had a poor campaign or they were in a hard group, but they're still like, they should be a seeded team. So the whole coming first or second, the seeding doesn't really bother me too much. I will just take being safely through a game early, and given the first half of the year it has such a heavily packed schedule, having a game where you could rotate with no consequence, I think would be greatly beneficial.
And also, I mean, look at some of the third place teams right now in the Champions League. I don't have it in front of me, but you have like I think PSG is third. I mean, imagine that. Imagine we get a really good campaign right in group stage Europa League. We finish number one, and then our reward is to face PSG in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. So you just don't know. I mean, you get who you get. Being a club like PAOK, your chances are will probably be underdogs in the round of 32.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, you're right. So I think I would just take being safely through with a game to spare, and then we worry about the rest as it comes.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair. But I definitely was looking ahead at some of the possible teams that are in second. And there's
Slow down, Angelo. We're only 3 games in, mate. Just come on, hold it back. Let's get through first. Let's not look ahead too far.
That's true. Yeah. So, any final thoughts on the PSV game before we move forward?
Yeah, man. So I just wanted to touch on your guy last week, man, Douglas Augusto. He had a superb game again. I thought he was great.
Yep.
I'm liking the 3-man midfield, something that obviously Ferreira didn't do in the latter part of his career with us. I thought he was good, carrying the ball, defensively solid, like cutting out attacks and stuff. So it seemed to me that he was probably the deepest of the 3 midfielders, him, Svab, and El Kaduri.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, yeah, he was really good for another game. And looking forward to, I probably don't expect him to start against Apollon tomorrow my time. Tomorrow morning my time, because he's obviously coming off a serious knee injury, and we saw he was rested against Panathinaikos. So one game a week is probably where he's at now. So maybe off the bench, but yeah, no, he was impressive, and I think he'll really help us moving forward this season.
I've always liked him. I know some people. I feel like he's been hit or miss with PAOK fans around the world, and I feel people either like him or don't like him. I've always liked him. I thought that he's offered a lot to the table. He has an extremely good long shot, which is really important in today's game. So the defenders can go out and pressure you, and then that'll leave spaces behind their defense. I think he played well. I think both Zivkoviches played extremely well. Obviously, you have Andre with the 2 goals, and then Zivko with he's just so solid back there. He's so solid in between the pipes, and the team's more comfortable with him when Paschalakis started. It was sometimes nerve wracking. You wouldn't know if he'd catch the ball, if he'd try to punch it. And the defenders, they know that, and you could tell they're much more. It's much more solid with Zivkovic back there. He made some big saves, like you mentioned, a couple 1-on-1s, and he's just a solid player. I wish he was a little younger, right, so we could have him a little longer. But I was actually thinking about that too the other day. Is when he's done, he may have 1-2 more seasons. Where do we go from there? Because Paschalakis isn't a young buck anymore, but we'll be happy with him while he's here, obviously. But he's just been solid back there.
Yeah, on Zivkovic, on Zivkovic. I wanted to say as well that at the start of the season, I mean, I think both keepers in terms of Zivkovic and Paschalakis have their flaws. I wanted Paschalakis to be the starter just because I think he's capable of saving more than Zivkovic is in terms of saves that you probably shouldn't make. Paschalakis can make them, but Paschalakis is obviously, as we know, is prone to a major error. But Zivkovic was similar as well. He wasn't last season. He had his mistakes. So I guess though what he's shown this season, and it's a credit to him, it's a credit to the coaching staff. Mario Galinovic has come in as a goalkeeping coach, right. So he probably deserves some credit as well.
We'll see if we could get him on soon. No.
Yeah, maybe that'd be good. Zivkovic has cut out a lot of those errors. He's been solid. So I think the logic was, let's get the guy that's more solid,
right?
Who might not save the unsavable, but he's not going to give away a goal every 2 games. I don't know, roughly say.
Or a red card for a ruthless tackle, right?
Yeah, something like penalty that. Yeah, so right. They've gone with a more solid guy, and he's paid them back so far. There's been no major errors. Something small. This was in my frustration and my haze of watching the game when PSV scored the penalty, because we had the penalty last week at Panathinaikos, and I feel like we've conceded a few penalties this year, and I I could be wrong, but I feel like he hasn't even dived the right way once. And penalties are hard. Like, I'm obviously being extremely harsh, but in my frustration, I kind of had a bit of a, rant at him while watching the game. But obviously, that's unreasonable to expect keepers to save, penalties. Yeah. So no, he's been great, and credit to him and everyone that's kept him solid. In terms of the age thing, I mean, I'm a little bit cautious. I still think, he's 30, 31 and has kind of been a bit of a journeyman in terms of he's been a starter in and out of teams. He still has errors in him. It's not like he's become a class keeper overnight, but, so far so good, and well done to him and everyone. They're doing well.
Yeah, he's 31. He turns 32 in April. And what's good too is he's on a light contract, $300,000. So if you have a solid keeper like that for, €300,000, then I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, look, as long as he can keep this form up, like I said, I mean, I think every goalkeeper makes a mistake, but I still have a bit of not doubt, but I kind of know that he has an error in him at some point. As long as it's just kind of like a one-off, that's not something that creeps back into his game. Because I think confidence is big, especially for these two keepers that probably aren't world class. Confidence is a massive thing, as it is with a lot of players.
Yeah, and then Solis. Well, I mean, what a wonderful run and shot he had, and that's the kind of strike that you see on highlight films. And it wasn't a beautiful move. It wasn't a ripper in the upper 90, but it was just a solid shot. I mean, he dribbled with the ball a good 50 yards or so, right? And then he comes down and he takes a nice shot. One bounced once, went on the opposite corner, and those are the goals that we haven't seen in a while for PAOK. Kind of like a wonderful run with the ball, not a cross, not a shot in the box, not a header, something like that. And I have been giving him some criticism lately because he had a great start, then he's kind of died down, and then he's had this explosive game for us, and he's getting a lot of great publicity online on Twitter. But I think he's a really key cog in the for our team, to see if he can come out and play like that, or even roughly around that same level. He doesn't have to score a goal every game, obviously, but if he could play at that same level, be dangerous, I think we'll have a good season. I think he's a really big, important piece for our team.
Yeah, I think it's great points you make. I think it'll help him being under Garcia. He obviously knows him well from the under-19s and has obviously played a big part in his development. So I think it'll only improve his performance and his ability. Yeah, the goal you mentioned was great, and even just a little bit of play in our defensive half of the ground, Augusto, El Khaturi and Solis kind of exchanging some passes, and then Solis went. I mean, it's clear Solis, if he in space, is dangerous. He's very direct. He'll run at you. He'll look to shoot. He'll look to get into dangerous areas. Kind of the anti-Limnios in that way. Not knocking Limnios, but Limnios wasn't as direct in his running. He would kind of try to he'd play wide. He wasn't as good a finisher, right, or as good a chance creator. So he really drives at you. He tries to get into shooting areas. Maybe too selfishly. I don't know if you remember the opportunity where El Khaturi had the shot, and then it came to Solis, and the rebound hit him in the face and went out for a goal.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, yep.
Svitevsky went off at him for not cutting the ball back for trying to shoot there.
Right.
So maybe a little bit too selfish at times, some would say, but I don't mind it. I think it shows confidence. The kid has confidence.
I saw Sudersky going crazy. I was like, "What the hell is this guy?" And then I watched it on replay again. I was like, "Oh, he's got a point. It was wide open."
Yeah. So there's things that he needs to learn, but he definitely has an air of confidence about him, and that goes back to his debut against Olympiacos away. I don't know if that was his debut, but it was one of his first starts.
Right.
I think it was. Can't remember if it was in the cup or in the playoffs. Away, and he really gave Tsimikas a tough time. He caused him problems, and Tsimikas is a great left back. So the kid has confidence, and I'm looking forward to him develop, and hopefully he just keeps himself grounded, because we know with young players sometimes early success and, like you said, hype, and now you have social media and the internet blowing you up constantly. So as long as he stays grounded, man, I think we have a fantastic player on our hands, and hopefully continues to develop in the way he is.
Right. So moving on forward to the game, which is from when we're recording this tomorrow. I'm sure people will be seeing this afterwards. But we promise for our predictions, the game has not happened yet. So if one of us gets it right, it has not happened yet. It's about 13, 14 hours away. The game this weekend versus Apollon Smyrnis. So we have an obviously a sticky situation at our left back with Giannolis out 4 weeks. That's what people say, but it's probably going to be longer. What do you see for them going into the game in terms of any kind of rotation? There's the international break coming up. So maybe you give some players some rest, but I don't think it needs to be a full rotation since people are going to not be playing for a week or 2 weeks. And then more importantly for left back, what do you see for the near future?
Yeah, so it's a real shame with Giannolis. I mean, he had played non-stop from the start of the season. That includes with the national team, was playing 2 games even during international break. So, I mean, you felt like an injury was potentially coming, especially with the back 5. He was doing a lot of running up and down that left flank.
Yep.
So it's a shame, and we wish him a speedy recovery. On that as well, we found out that Mihai as well is having an operation, knee ligament operation. So his knee injury, which we mentioned last week, was worse than we hoped for, so he'll be out as well for a while, so speedy recovery to him as well. So in terms of the left back situation, so Pereira's been left out. This is Adrian Nilsson Pereira, the Norwegian left back who we signed in the summer from Viking in Norway, has been left out of the squad, and that's a little bit puzzling to me. So we have 2 left backs in the squad, 2 senior left backs in Pereira and Giannolis, and one goes down in Giannolis, and Pereira didn't even make the squad to travel to play Apollon. So we've only seen him once. He played against Volos in between the Champions League games where there was heavy rotation, and I remember you and I discussed how he had about 5 or 6 debutants that game. So not exactly ideal.
Right.
Now, is he that bad? Has he looked that bad in training? I don't know. I'm just asking the question because I would think you have 2 senior left backs, even if you're not going to start Pereira, because you don't like what you see. Surely you bring him along for the ride. Like Giannolis is going to be out for at least a month, like you said, could be up to 6 weeks. Like, is he not going to get a look in at all over this period?
Yeah, I
it's
think
just a little bit surprising to me. Is all.
I think if he doesn't, well, first of all, before I forget this, I think it was a panic buy in regards of we thought we were going to sell Giannolis, right? I think a lot of people were expecting that he was going to go. So I feel like Pereira was a kind of a panic buy where, you have to sit and wonder, did our scouting department do their due diligence and really think that this guy was going to be a Champions League quality left back or Europa League? We'll do Europa League quality left back. Because those are the types of players that we have to be attracting now and getting. We can't just be, every once in a while you could get a project that, hopefully is a diamond in the rough, right? You buy cheap and then you will sell for a lot more, or he'll become a stud, a star. Every once in a while, a team like our caliber has to find one of those players. But ultimately, the players that we are bringing in have to be players that can contribute at the Europa League level consistently, because that's probably what we're going to be playing in those level teams, right? We're not going to be playing the Champions League teams, especially with our coefficient going down. If I feel, and I'm pretty confident saying this, if he doesn't get a shot at these next few weeks, he'll be loaned out in the winter. I mean, there's no other reason to keep him on. If you're saying that he's not even good enough to be on a bench against Apollon Smyrnis, what's the point? When we're short players already, what's the point then? Would you agree in saying that if he is not in the plans in these next 6 weeks or so, loan him out? I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if he's not going to play, then like you said, then what is the point of keeping him around? Then now is the opportunity with Giannolis out. So it's just puzzling to me. Even if it was a panic buy, I get they see him in trading, but I'm just trying to imagine how bad he must look for them to not even. We have no other left back, so we're talking about Lirazis or Rodrigo playing on the opposite side. Like, how bad is he looking? Like, this is just what I'm trying to contemplate. Like, surely it can't be that bad to the point where we're like, nah, we don't want a natural left back in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, without obviously being around training and being around the team, we can only speculate. But I'd like to think he'll get an opportunity over this period. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I'm not sure who he'll start, whether it's Rodrigo or Lirazis. Do you have any thoughts?
I think for Apollon, it'll be like I don't know if Lirazis will start right back and Rodrigo left back. Wagwe, I don't know. I think though for when we get to the PSV game, we'll talk about that. But I think for that game, Crespo will play. But for Apollon, I'm really not sure. It could be a mixture of three players, the three players mentioned. It probably again I don't know which two do you think are going to start out of those three?
I have a feeling that I think Rodrigo will play. I don't know if they're a little bit antsy about playing him again because he did have a soft tissue injury in the Besiktas game, I think it was. So I don't know if they'd be a bit antsy about giving him 2 full games so close together. So if that's the case, it'll obviously be Vaguer and Lirazis. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know what he's going to do. There is the chance that he puts Michailidis or Crespo there. I think it's unlikely given we're playing Apollon and we're going to be attacking a lot. And he only has 3 centre-backs in the squad. Varela's been rested. Mm-hmm. So I honestly, I can't say. If it was me, I'd probably play maybe Lirazis at right back and Rodrigo just because Musa Vaguer has not been great so far. So,
he's been gaining some confidence though.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
we'll see.
He's been gaining some confidence. I could tell he's getting some of his swag down. But it's just when he first joined us, he was I don't know nerves or whatever. But the last game he played, it's not that he did good, or it's just the way he was he looked like that was his team. Not that he was a leader or anything, but it wasn't like he was a loney that was still trying to figure out the nooks and the crannies of the team. But it felt like he's been part of that. He's been indoctrinated into the team.
Yeah, he's been better his last game or two. His first couple games was awful.
Yeah, they were.
So he has been better. Look, I guess the safe option is Vaguer and Rodrigo because they have more senior experience as compared to what Lirazis. But I mean, Garcia, I think doesn't mind the youth. So look, I'm not sure. It could be like you said, a combination of those three. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
But I will tell you this: Garcia knows that they cannot drop points. That they have to start. They have to win games. So, and he's going to know, especially in his position, that he can't afford to lose this game or draw after PSV. I think will be fine. But if he could win this game, that's why I don't see a large rotation.
Yeah, that's fair. The only other question is midfield too. If he replaces Augusto, will it be with Ninua?
I could see Ninua playing.
Yeah, a City's probably the obvious one because it's a midfield 3, you can probably get away with it. Do you need him again in a game like this? I mean, maybe with everyone pushed up. I mean, I'm not sure. It's hard because Garcia has just taken over. We don't really know what he likes to do, so it's a lot more. We're just guessing. We always guess, but it was easier because we had seen Ferreira, right? So we could probably get it right more often than not.
I mean, the CT could be the 4th emergency center back too.
Yeah, that could happen
if need be. Right? If absolute need be, because he's kind of he's not like a ball playing back. He's a nonsensical defensive guy he's quick, he's strong. So if push comes to shove, he could be pushed back there. I don't see any other midfielder being able to step back there and play center back, but hopefully we don't need that. What about Jabba? Reports are that he might be potentially returning to the squad. I know under the 3-5-2 that played, it really didn't suit him in terms of formation wise. But this formation with the wingers kind of does. What do you think about that?
Yeah, just before we get to Jabba, before we move on, we'll just you want to give our match predictions for this game? What else the score you think will be?
Sure. I will go with I'll go with a 2-0 victory for the good guys.
2-0. Yeah, I was actually going to say 2-0. I'll go with a 3-1 similar game to the one last week against Panatinaikos. Right. So I think we'll find a way to win, and like you mentioned, it's important to. Yeah. So on Zabah, yeah, like you said, reports are that Garcia will bring him back into the squad and he'll be given a chance. I mean, I would like to see it. I think in his first season he looked good. He showed a lot of promise, and then last season he had an injury earlier in the year. I mean, Ferreira kind of wasn't already favouring him, but he was, in the squad off the bench, and then he got back from his injury late, and then early this year seemed he had a falling out with Ferreira, which is kind of Ferreira seemed to have with a couple of players. So I know we mentioned this. At what point was he the common denominator too often to be like, maybe you're the problem? Anyways, he's gone now.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, but I know you kind of feel a bit more strongly on Zabah, so I might throw it back to you. I'm looking forward. I think he has a place in the squad. He should be used at least off the bench. He's a talented player. So what do you, in terms of this formation suiting him, what do you think he can offer us?
I like it. I think I like him, and I would like for him to be put in and given a fair opportunity, and I think Garcia will. He offers speed. He offers that skill that we don't have necessarily from our wingers, because Zivkovic is not going to be. Zivkovic is a great player, right? But that's not the same skill set. And the reason why I'm so excited is because I don't feel like there's another player on our roster that has his skill set. So at least he has a lot of work rate. He's quick, but he doesn't have that full work. And I think Jabba is he could be a real big talent. I mean, that injury kind of put a dent in him, but if you go back and look at some of his games, he's had some good games for us. So I'm hoping that he comes back and is 100% healed, and hopefully doesn't have any more major injuries, and he could come out and prove his wealth. Because I feel like for him and for PAOK, if he goes back to Brazil or a low level division, whatever, a low level league, then that's going to be the end of, I mean, I don't want to say the end of his career, but I think this is his opportunity. He knows it, and PAOK doesn't want to give up on him. I don't know how much we signed him for, but he was pretty hyped up. And he was, and just after his first few games, he looked like he was a really going to be a really good player. And same thing with Augusto too, because if I remember correctly, this just popped in my head. Wasn't Augusto supposed to be on that Olympic team for Brazil?
Yes, he was going to go to the Olympics. Obviously, then he got injured. The Olympics obviously have been postponed, but yeah, he was in the under-23. So yeah.
So I mean, and that was I think we got them in the same window, did we not?
No, I think Zabah was a year earlier.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of the same situation, and Zabah could be someone who, down the road uses this as like a stepping stone for a bigger club. I like him a lot, and I think he does have a lot to offer.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's definitely a valuable player that was underutilized. That was going to be underutilized under Ferreira. So I look forward to, hopefully, the reports are accurate and Garcia does bring him back. And whether he's an actual starter or just off the bench, yeah, I definitely think he has something to offer. And like you said, he has those different characteristics compared to our other wingers. I'm hopeful. I think he can definitely offer something.
I'm looking at this. We paid €5 million for him?
Yeah, so that's what was reported. Kind of since, reporting in Greece is a little bit unpredictable. I've heard anywhere between 3 to 5. It was definitely a good chunk of money, especially for a club like PAOK. Some said it was 3 with bonuses up to 5. Some said it was 5 up front. I'm not sure. Either way, it was a lot of money for.
Yeah, and I'm looking now, and he was rumored to have attention from teams like Porto, Newcastle, Anderlecht. So it's good. I hope he comes back in, and he's only 22. That's still crazy to me. He's still a young buck. He joined when he was 20.
Yeah, man. That's the thing. Like, you can't. I don't like writing players off. I mean, we don't know what happens internally if there are falling outs, but I'm happy that there's been a change of manager if we're speaking purely for the sake of Zappa, because he's so young, like you said, and he did in that double winning season. He showed so much. He was a starter basically.
Right. Any final thoughts or anything that we didn't touch on before we sign out?
No, I think we've touched on everything. I think I give your performance a C plus first up back. I think you're a little bit rusty there.
This
coming
guy.
Off your break, but
all right, I'll remember that.
It was good. It was good to have you back, and I hope everyone enjoyed listening and continues to listen and share and enjoy what we produce.
Yeah, so thank you all for listening to the 12th episode of PAOK Talk, and hopefully we get a win tomorrow and end the right before the international break with 2 good wins in a row, and we start back where we kind of left off. Right, we have a big game coming up at the end of this month in Holland, and we'll be discussing that game in detail later on. But thank you all for listening, and have a great night.